Hello, friends, and welcome to the Monday Show 36. I'm your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Roots. Roots, search your feelings. Let the
Yeah.
fourth guide you.
Yeah, may the fourth be with you, man. I'm
May the fourth be with you as well, sir.
yeah, super psyched for the 4th of May because it's a warm time, Wes. Anytime I can wear shorts is a good month, and everything's turning green. I tell customers a lot, God must like blue and green because those colors are prevalent everywhere. They're my favorites too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and you can do so much magic on the screen. You can have little colorful squirrels going behind you, and all because of the power of the green.
yeah, that's right. That's right. The green screen. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
But yeah, it's May the 4th. It's the International Star Wars Day. So much we could do to celebrate this, right? We've got Vader Immortal. We could play through again, which, for whatever reason, I uninstalled the other day because I thought, you know what, I won't be playing this for a while. And
Mm.
so now that's gone. But I'm pretty sure I've got a 3D copy of one of the movies, one of the Star Wars, one of the new trilogy that I haven't watched yet. So maybe that's what I'll do today. You have any special plans for May the 4th?
Just the Monday show tonight. What's funny is I wonder if I haven't looked at the lineup, but that be an amazing 3D movie for big screen to be playing right now on May the 4th? And people that haven't seen it, like I think Gaming Science Teacher hasn't seen that series. I know Star Trek she's just starting to get into, so that would be a good one for people, you know?
That would be perfect, man. If they could get some of those, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. Can you imagine watching like the Lord of the Rings extended cut in 3D in big
Uh,
screen?
yeah, well, you can't be watching that if you're a Quest player. Well, I guess if you plug it in, it's just so long, the extended cut, man. You'd have to
Oh
stop it,
yeah,
and every 2 hours you'd stop and then come back for another 2 hours. That thing is long as hell.
I love it. But yeah, you're right. If you're not willing to plug in and watch, then that one could get difficult. Any of those really.
Yeah, yeah, but those are good ones. I'd love to see Harry Potter in 3D as well.
Man, I'm rooting for big screen right now. I mean, the it's such a advantageous time for them right now because not only can people not go to the theaters, but since that happened, the big motion picture studios have been releasing the movies on demand on television like they never would before because they were always afraid that piracy would ruin their business model. Well, they're finding out that on demand was way more successful than they ever thought it would be. They're making tons of money doing it that way. Piracy's, I mean, it's always been there anyway. It's not going to change anything. But Universal Studios came out the other day and said that their on demand business has been so successful that they're going to keep doing it even after the theaters reopen. And this, in turn, really pissed off the theaters. So much so, in fact, that I think it was the AMC theaters came straight out and said, you know what, we'll never show another Universal picture again in
Wow,
our cinemas ever.
that's
I mean,
crazy.
they didn't even try to negotiate. They just come over and said, you know what, we're done. And with all this turmoil and strife between the theaters and the motion picture companies, and the fact that the motion picture companies now that they can know that they can now make money selling directly to the home. I mean, what a big opportunity for big screen, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Everything's changing, man. I was just talking to somebody the other day and they were saying how they were joking in their office space, but he was saying he believes it's going to be true, and I do too, that there's going to be a lot of retailers that or businesses that their overhead is everybody's working from home and they're finding out, hey, this works. We're doing it. We have to do it now, but why are we having people come in anyway? So I think there's going to be a difference in that as well. But yeah, that's huge for big screen. And I guess the movie theaters, it'll have to adjust because, they charge for each reel, for the movie theaters to get it for X amount of time. So I would imagine that that price is going to plummet. And there's still something to be said about going to the movie theater, having your popcorn, your drink, all that stuff. I somebody said it in the Discord one time about the audio being superior than the experience for the movie theater. So you're not going to get that at home for a lot of people. So there'll still be a market for it. It just depends on how much of a market, and will people be too afraid to go out? Because I know some people in the Discord are saying, even in UK, man, they're trying to loosen some of the things, and the people are like, no, don't let us go outside. And it's such a weird thought to me, because I want to go outside, Wes. I want to go outside all the time, and I don't want somebody telling me I can't go out in my garden. It really would piss me off, I think.
Well, I think that there's definitely always going to be a space for the theaters, um, but I feel like they're kind of getting what's coming to them. I mean, they've raped the consumer for so many years, the way that they've profiteered and taken advantage of and price gouged,
Hmm.
for lack of a better word. They're going to have to readjust their business model. There's still a place for them. They're still going to be able to cut an obscene profit. It's just not going to be what it was. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's such a bad thing at all.
Yeah, so you're saying $5 movie tickets again, maybe a dollar for popcorn. I think the dollar movie theaters have it right, because it's just it's too expensive, man. When you're paying $6 for a large popcorn and $6 for a drink, and you've got a family and you've already paid $50 for four of you to get in, it starts to become almost ridiculous for the average person to go into, with anybody but themselves. Like, as a single person, it's no big deal, but for someone like yourself that's got several kids and a wife, I guarantee you it's a discussion whether you're going to go to the movies, and you're going to make sure you go to the right time, and you're going to get the cheapest price, and maybe you bring in the drinks with you. And it just it's gotten way out of control. So I agree, it's a good adjustment they're going to have to make, or they're going to die.
Yeah, I agree. It's and the experience is superior in many ways. Audio definitely, having the surround sound all the way around the space makes a big difference. And plus that huge screen, as big as they are in VR, it still doesn't really compare to a gigantic movie screen. And who knows? Maybe something like this will spur them on to invest in more things like IMAX,
Hmm.
like IMAX theaters. That's a different technology. That's something new, something different. Maybe instead of IMAX being such a special thing now, maybe it should become more the norm. Maybe when you go to the theaters, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for this gigantic, curved, immersive experience, unlike the old school movie theater experience.
Yeah, you're right. Because if I have a choice to go to one, if I'm going to pay 15, $16, that's what I'm going to go see, is the IMAX. Maybe even in 3D if it's a good enough movie. But it's been so long since I've gone to a movie theater. I don't. Who knows what the hell's out there now?
Yeah, I'm the same way. My kids and wife, they still go sometimes, but for me, it's got to be something. I mean, the movie has to drive me on to go. I normally go see the Star Wars when they come out. I heard Bill and Ted 3 is going to come out. I might would be compelled to go see that, but for the most part, I don't go to the theaters anymore.
Bill and Ted 3, man. The second one was so bad compared to the first one. Hopefully they learned and they go back to the basics and make the third one good. Because like I said, that first one was, or second one was not the best.
Yeah, I liked it all right. Of course, it wasn't as good as the first one, but I thought it was good. When I was younger, I haven't watched it in many years. But what's really going to be the bummer about it? I mean, of course, the whole thing is it's going to be a nostalgia trip, right? That's going to be the whole selling point of it. But George Carlin's not with us anymore, so Rufus, no Rufus, man. How are we going to have Bill
Mm,
and Ted without Rufus?
yeah, well, maybe Bill and Ted have learned enough. They don't need Rufus anymore getting in their way. Be like, we
Well,
told Rufus to step off. We got this.
I think we all could learn something these days from Bill and Ted. And with that said, I'd like to impart to you all that you should be excellent to each other.
Yeah.
And party on, dude.
Yeah, party on. And if you haven't already, and I question what's wrong with you, subscribe, man, because that's what Rufus would want. He really loves when people subscribe to the Virtual Strangers channel, even though he's doing it from the other side of the grave. Um, yeah, I appreciate Rufus.
Yeah, Rufus. Rufus always looking out for the virtual strangers.
Yeah, man, he's cool.
Anyway, it's a new month, Roots. It's May, and as always, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to go back and name the games of the month for April. We're going to take a look ahead into May and see what we have coming. But before we get to that, let's do as we always do on the Monday show. Let's do what the Monday show is here for, and let's talk about what we've been playing.
Yep, sounds good.
So, Roots, oddly enough, I was just thinking not that long ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, it dawned on me that it would be really cool if somebody were to make a really elaborate hedge maze in VR. You've seen this trope in many forms of media before, whether it be cartoons or television shows or even movies, these big labyrinths between the hedges, and sometimes it can get kind of crazy in there. And it occurred to me that there's a lot of potential for this in VR, and not maybe 3 or 4 days after this occurred to me, I was on Reddit doing what we do on Reddit, looking for people to help. And I stumbled across this game developer, first time game developer doing a VR game, who was looking for beta testers for this game, Looking Glass. And as it turns out, it's a hedge maze game, Roots. But if that isn't cool enough, it's kind of a horror, kind of a spooky hedge maze, which I thought was kind of cool. And even though I don't tend to like to opt into beta testing very much, I decided, what the hell, let's help this guy out. And so we checked it out. This game's called Looking Glass. It's from Wakeless Studio. It just released on Steam VR on the 1st of May. And shortly after I talked to this developer, I let you know about it, and you entered the beta as well. What'd you think about Looking Glass?
Well, my first thought, whenever I think of hedge mazes, I think of Johnny. I was looking for him over my shoulder from The Shining, and he wasn't there, thank God, because that's the last person I want to run into. But yeah, no, I like you said, I the premise sounded cool to me, and I wanted to check it out, and I thought it was pretty cool, definitely unique as far as the mirror goes. A lot of times I was walking backwards in the horror thing. I don't like that. That's creepy as hell. Not really, you're looking over your shoulder to see where you're going. And it definitely had some weird vibes to it. But as we were talking, it's one of the things I know the developer's looking for feedback, and we've already given it to him, and he's taken it into consideration. Because it's a lot like Dread Halls in a way. That was my first thought is I want to see more enemies. I want to see like dozens of different things coming at me or things to watch out for. And but other than that, I feel like it's a good premise and something good to build on for sure.
Yeah, so that was the biggest difference between my vision of a hedge maze and what we have here. My vision of a hedge maze was in broad daylight. You're in this gigantic labyrinth of hedges, and you never know what's going to be around each corner. It could get weird. There could be statues, there could be creatures. Uh, the maze could change around you. This was my vision for a hedge maze, and this is something very different than that. What Looking Glass is a procedurally generated hedge maze at night. So you start off in the dark, and it's very difficult to see unless you look through the mirror. They give you a handheld mirror, and you can hold it up to look behind you or around corners or however you want to use it. But the mirror kind of works like a night vision. So even though it's too dark for you to see with your own eyes, you can see perfectly fine in the mirror. And the basis of the game here, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make your way out of the maze to this tree that's pretty much just made out of light. It's a beautiful white light tree. But the way you do that is you have to find these four pillars. And you're searching for these pillars. When you find one, you shine light on it using your mirror, and it changes, it morphs in front of you, and you go on. And as you're searching for these pillars, you come across these beings. They're called the Darkness, and basically that's what they are. They're just this floating, darkness that has these two wicked, evil-looking eyes. And when you see one of those things, you better turn around and run. But the way this works is you can find the first couple of pillars fairly easily, but when you hit the third one out of four, the music changes, and all of a sudden there's more darkness in the maze than there was before. And then when you hit the fourth one, the last one, it gets nuts, right? So like the music changes drastically, and there's darkness almost around every corner. So it's really difficult, even though now you know where the tree is. You can see that thing from a mile away. You know your way out. It's hard to get there because there's darkness everywhere. So that's kind of the concept here. And if you make your way out of the maze, it just starts over and the layout changes. So I really thought this was pretty cool. It does have a lot of Dreadhall's feel to it, but it's a lot more basic than Dreadhall's. It's I would call it Dreadhall's light with a rear view mirror. It would be my best way to describe it. And that's okay because one, again, this is a first time developer, and there was absolutely no jank, no broken jank. Everything worked great. And two, $5, Roots, which I think is a really fair price for what you get here.
Yeah, it's definitely fair, especially if you like enjoy going through mazes, trying to find your way out. And like you said, it gets crazier as you go on. I didn't make it out of the maze, Wes. I know you did. So thank God you finished it, because I kept getting hit by those darkness, and I didn't make it. But yeah, I think $5 is very fair for this game. And hopefully the dev has taken everything we've told him and is going to continue to add on to this. And it has a lot of potential to be an amazing game. But for $5, it's definitely worth what you're getting for sure. And
Yeah.
just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, he was definitely receptive to the criticism that I gave, and I wasn't overly critical, but mainly what I told him is I think the game could use a little progression after you beat it once. I feel like maybe the difficulty should scale up a little bit. Maybe the maze could get a little bigger. Maybe, like you said, there could be more enemy types other than just the one. But the darkness, they're pretty jarring when you come across them. You can barely outrun them. You're just slightly faster than they are. So when you see them, you pretty much have to just turn around and go the other direction. But where the real difficulty lies is not running into another one when you're running from one, right?
Yeah, and it's amazing. I got turned around and I so many times, and I'm like trying to run from one, and I run into the next one, and then Roots is dead. It was very sad, but yeah, it's definitely, like I said, worth the $5. Definitely worth checking out, and you know, I'm excited to see where this dev can take it, because for a first time dev, like you said, there's no jank. It runs very well, and I just like the looking glass. It was definitely unique, and you know, I did find myself running backwards a lot. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you looked real quick and then took off running, but I just didn't want to run into that darkness. And I guess
Yeah.
the way you did it worked better for than mine, because you finished it.
Yeah, well, what the way I handled it is whenever I saw one of those guys, and you could tell, you can even hear them when you get close to them. Um, I would just turn around and run the other way and hold my mirror up so I could see when it stopped pursuing me.
Mm.
But the thing about this maze is so long and winding. It's easy to lose your sense of direction in it. Like more than once, I felt like I was on the other side of the maze from where I started, and I would turn around the corner and be right back at the very beginning, right where I started at.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that's one of the cooler aspects of being in a maze, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point of going in a maze. Is like you want to find your way out, but you get turned around, and I don't know, just being at night, it makes it a little bit different as well. So I want to know what magic looking glass he's got there, because man, it looks really good the way you can look through it and see everything well lit up. So
Yeah, and some of the stuff, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but some of the stuff really looks different through the mirror. Did you come across any of these statues that are in the maze?
I did, and definitely just like in the trailer, it looks you look at it through the mirror and it looks completely different and creepy. You know, I'd like to see some of those. I don't know, man. That was the best thing in Dreadhalls for me, was the moment that I saw that statue and I was like, I talked smack to it, and then I was going along and then I turned around and it was right there, and I was like, oh my god, like that scared the hell out of me. And the fact that I had just been talking smack to it made me feel like it really was responding, and it was cool.
Yeah, that got me as well. The gargoyle in Dread Halls made
Yeah,
me jump out of my skin.
yeah,
Anyway, yeah, everything's good here. It's solid. It looks pretty good. It sounds. I mean, the sound effects, they're not overdone, but what's there is good. Like you're outside at night, so there's crickets and stuff, right? The echo works the way you feel like it would, and everything seems natural as far as that goes. And for $5, it's definitely worth a playthrough. It's something that I could see myself going to every now and then. It doesn't take long to play it. You're either going to win or lose. You know, within 15 or 20 minutes, you're going to be done either way. And for $5, I feel like it's a solid a solid title to add to your library, and I definitely recommend it.
absolutely, me too.
We all lost everything. Everything but our stories. And they shouldn't be forgotten.
Okay, so this next title that we're going to talk about that we both played, um, I kind of could do this as a backlog report, sort of, but at the same time, it's kind of like a because I said so as well, because Cyan has beat us over the head so many times about Abduction that I kind of felt like it was time. You know, we needed to get into it. I wanted to play it anyway, and he keeps bringing it up. So when I was looking for something to play, it was kind of an easy decision this time.
Yeah, and it's kind of ironic that it comes from a similar company, Cyan. What does it say? Cyan.
Cyan. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
noticed that myself.
yeah. No, this game actually, I had played it a year ago or so with my daughter. And at that time, the locomotion was a little weird. They fixed that since then, so I went back into it and as well, and I couldn't believe the story was so much better than I remember. Like it really drew me in, and made me want to know what the hell is going on in this world because it's so bizarre. And I'm just scratching the surface. And we both went in about an hour and a half, which was kind of funny as well. And it was just this world is got some crazy stuff going on. So
Yeah, so I'm fresh out of this game. Like I just played it. Like you said, I put about 90 minutes into it, and to be honest, man, I feel like I barely did anything in it. The time went by so quickly. The initial area of the game is so large, and there's a lot to look at, and the whole time you're trying to figure out what's going on. The time just kind of flew by after I got into it, and it was a bit of a struggle. We got off on the wrong foot. I booted up the game as soon as I told it to play it in Oculus VR mode. It tells me that the headset that I have hooked in is not supported. But then I click OK and it boots up just fine and plays. So, all right, whatever. So I get in the game and I go through this little intro part, that he just got out of the campsite there. And as soon as the thing from the sky comes down and abducts you, the game froze and crashed on me. And I took my headset off and my screen told me that I was out of VRAM. And if you don't know, for those of you who don't know out there, I run a 1080 Ti. I've got plenty of VRAM. And so for this thing to crash it, man, it must be using a lot. So I had to go back into my Oculus Tray tool, set my standard 150 down to 120, and then I went into the game and set it from epic on to high. And after that, everything worked fairly smoothly. Did you have any kind of optimization or performance issues with it?
No, but what I thought was kind of fun. It's funny that you say that as far as that, it gives you literally says, do you want to run it regular Steam VR or Oculus VR? And then for it to tell you after you've clicked on Oculus that it doesn't support it, even though it's in the menu as an option, but then does work. I didn't have it super sample, so that, or at least much, so as high as you did, so it would probably be the case. But man, this game is beautiful, right? And the puzzles. This is a game, and I knew this going in. It doesn't hold your hand. You just go in there and you just trial and error, figure stuff out. I really was impressed with all the different little nodes like this telling the story. Each one of them is different people in the city saying, "Hey, this is what is going on. This is the big tree, and this is where we get our water, and we're not sure how it works, but thank God we have it." And it was really cool. I just thought I was impressed with the just pretty much everything with this game.
Yeah, I thought it was a super awesome sci-fi feel to it because you're in like this old 1800s, mining camp is what this town is that you're in. But if you walk to the edge of the boundary, you can see you're on an alien world. You're just kind of in a bubble here. This is a habitat that they've built for you. So immediately you have this weird feel about you. But at the same time, I mean, this game totally feels like Myst. It has that same oddness to it. And playing it, I got that same feeling that I used to get with Myst, that I have to be super perceptive here because any little thing can have meaning to it. And you know you're going to have to come back to every area 100 times before this thing's over with. And so it really makes for an interesting dynamic in VR or just in general because, you know, we're just, like you said, just starting to scratch the surface of the story. And, you know, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, me too. And I just now was watching that talk back from Farley, and you know, I don't know who's, you know, I told you before we started, like I don't trust CW, and he, it's just so weird, man. She's just telling you, you know, be careful. CW might be here, but then CW tells you when you run into him, you know, he makes it sound like, I don't know. It's just so weird, dude. I have a bad feeling about that dude, and he's rude, Wes. If you go back to him a second time, he's not very nice, and he made me sad. So I just want to know more about what's going on in this story, because it just like you were saying, it's hooked me now, and now I'm going to be going back into this. And you're right. You're running back and forth. I must have gone to some of these areas 100 times already, trying to figure out stuff. I didn't even look at these graves. But one thing one of my biggest gripes about this game, and it's not really the game's fault, it's just when it was made, but I was telling you, I want to interact with a lot of stuff, and it's very, very limited in what you can interact with. If you can't interact with it, then it's not important, which I guess is kind of good, but you know, sometimes I just want to pick up something or look at it closer or whatever. And this is clearly, you know, an older generation flat game brought into VR. So
Yeah, that's the thing here. It's a flat game, right? You can tell that this was a flat game. It wasn't made for VR, so your hands just kind of pass through everything, unless it's something like you said that you're meant to interact with. The rest of it's just kind of like a hologram that you can just pass right through. So yeah, that was definitely jarring, and it makes me excited for Firmament actually, because they're working on Firmament right now, the same developers that made this game, and that's going to be their first from the ground up for VR game. And I got to imagine not only will we be able to interact with a lot more, but as good as this looked, I mean, you could still, the graphics were a little dated in it. I got to imagine that, you know, anything they release in 2020 is going to be just jaw dropping, right?
yeah, absolutely. And you were mentioning, you know, like with CW, you were hoping he would tell us about what those bees are. Me too, man. What the hell are those bees? I'm sure Cyan knows before I tell us, right, you know, in the chat. But no, I thought it looked good. Like you said, a little dated graphics, but super sampled, looked good. And I don't know. I just the story to me, I just want to know what's going on. The more I go through, I want to know why I'm been abducted and thrown into this world, and why is it even there? What's the point of it? You know, I mean, these people that have been there that did these holograms, I don't even know when they disappeared or what happened. I mean, they clearly left it behind so that if somebody else came, you would know what's happening. How did they know more people were going to get pulled into it? And what is happening? I want to know. So,
Yeah, you could tell this is a very I don't know, kind of scripted experience for people who they abduct and bring here. Now the question is how much of it's real and how much of it is just show for the new recruits. Who is CW? Is he a real dude, or is he part of the act as well? And what about Farley? You know, Farley, you could tell that she was kind of like, well, I guess I'm Farley, you know, and so I guess since you're seeing this, whatever it was I tried must not have worked, and you know what I mean. So you can tell there's something definitely underlying there with her, and everything's question marks here, and this game. This is the type of thing that really appeals to me, right? It's got a compelling story. It's got it's a thinker. It's something that you're going to have to contemplate the whole time you're in it. Puzzles everywhere. The whole world itself is a puzzle. And on top of that, it looks pretty good. The sound effects I thought were absolutely awesome. Like the music was great.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Now, from what Cyan says, there's some world when you get to a certain place, he says it'll rival almost anything you see in VR. It'll blow your mind away. That is also going through my head. I want to get to that. And just that, I don't know, like you said, it's a thinking game. It's one that I'm actually enjoying thinking, and just the different. Oh, here's CW, that bastard. That doorbell. I was like, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. When I went back the second time, I think I pissed him off, Wes. And he came back and he was just like, I can't remember what he said. He just, I can't hold your hand. He was rude. I was like, I wanted to reach through that thing and slap him, but I don't even know if he's in there because, like you said, it looks weird. It looks like almost like a projected image on that, rather than somebody being inside. So I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I don't trust him, and especially after I saw what Farley just said about him, about how CW might be here, and then he's acting like he's, like you said, he's telling you to go turn the power on. Well, why can't you turn it on if you know how? So I don't know. I'm very curious about who this dude is, and I want to find out.
Yeah, definitely odd of him to straight away not answer any questions for you, just tell you what you need to go do, but not give you any information about how to do it. Yeah, kind of rude and suspect. So I don't know. I thought it did look kind of cool though. I'm so used to having these rendered characters in front of me in VR. Well, this was actual video footage, but it did have 3D depth to it. So that was kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah, it was different, and so I have a feeling that this is my perception. He's trapped in there, and he's trying to trick me into letting him out, and I don't want to let him out, Wes, but I need to turn the power on to do anything. So I'm kind of stuck in a conundrum. Do I leave him in there and just not turn the power on and not go anywhere, or do I turn it on and then somehow let him out, and then he like turns into Jack from the Resident Evil and he wants to kill me? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But there was so much coolness to this, as far as even the puzzles were different. They weren't traditional puzzles. So I really enjoyed the puzzles that I've ran into so far, and I don't know, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to beat and bound and gag Scion to not spoil any of this for me. I'm sure we'll come to you for advice when we need it, but man, we'll come to you. Don't bring it to us. I don't want any of this spoiled. I'm the type of person that'll stick with something for hours, days even, if I have to, until I figure it out on my own. I don't want help. But I'm sure, I think you are the type of person that will. You're not too proud to ask for help like I am, but I'm sure you want to give it a good go as well before you get to that, right?
Yeah, I want to, like you said, ask rather than be told, just because I do want to try to do it for myself. I just don't want to spend days stuck in a spot and then play for a little bit and then get stuck in another spot for another day or so. I don't have that much time, but that being said, and it's always good to try, for as long as you're willing to try. And I definitely don't have too much pride to try. Now I wanted to move this red laser and it didn't let me. I was very upset. I got to get there, but didn't let me do jack crap to it. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But
yeah, I was the same way. It kind of pissed me off a little bit because it's obvious, right? You're supposed to be moving these things, but you can't. Not from there. So we got to find the control switch routes. Where are the switches?
yeah, it's probably behind a closed door somewhere. But no, so far the hour and a half I spent in, I've enjoyed, and I will be going back to it. If anything, just because I want to see how the story progresses and know what the hell's going on. So they did a good job as far as that. But I mean, it's Cyan. They missed all of those games. There's a reason why people loved them, is because the story was so good and the puzzles were good. So, and they definitely nailed it on this one. And I am like you. I'm totally psyched to see Firmament way more than I was before. So
Yeah, I'm kind of frightened, Roots. I'm frightened that how long it's actually going to take me to get through this thing because I'm hooked now. Just like Mist, I'm hooked, and I'm going to be going back into it for sure. But like I said, I put an hour and a half into it, and I don't feel like I've done anything yet, hardly. So how long? How much of my time is this game going to take? Uh, Only time will tell.
Yeah, I bet a lot because I only got a little bit further than you did, and that's just because I don't stop and look at every single thing like you do. Usually you'll take a good third of the time more just because you're very meticulous of looking at everything. So
So let me ask you this: when you finally run across that thing that they keep beating you over the head and telling you, "Hey, be sure you don't get close to this thing," are you going to go close to? Are you going to get close to it, or are you going to stay away?
I don't know. I saw that the sign everywhere. Hey, don't go near this thing unless it's disassembled. And I was like, what does that mean? Probably will have to get close to it just to see what happens, but I don't know. It's something's going on there that definitely makes you wonder why they don't want you near it and what's going to happen if you do. So I don't know. I probably will get close to it. Now,
You know what this game reminded me of?
hmm,
It reminded me of a gigantic version of the Gallery. You know, the Gallery 1 and 2. I felt like it kind of played like that, even though the other was, the Gallery's made for VR, so you can interact with a lot more stuff. But I feel like it has the same kind of weird story and the same kind of, puzzle and the same kind of thinking going on here as goes on in the Gallery.
yeah, you're right. It does have like a gallery feel to it. Now, let me ask you this. Did it take you a while to go through that blue beam, or did you just run it? Because I thought I was going to die for a little bit running into it, so I avoided it. And then I was like, where the hell am I supposed to go? And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to try here. And I ran in and nothing happened. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I was avoiding that for
Yeah.
like 45 minutes.
Well, I certainly approached it slowly and walked up to it, and there's a pattern to the plume that it puts off. And if you time it right, there's a gap in it. So the first time I went through it, I timed it and ran through the gap. But as I was coming out of that thing, I just said, you know what, screw it, I'm going to just run through it. And sure enough, nothing happened when I ran through it.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I was like, oh God, I was avoiding that for nothing. But no, I think the atmosphere is definitely good. They definitely did a good job of just everything. And was there any point of you that I was kind of pissed I couldn't get to that tree also? This cool tree. This is the tree. And then I get to that gate and I'm like, I want to get through there, but it won't let me.
Yeah, you can see the switch to open the gate too if you look around here. And you can see that you can go inside that door. That was really one of the more frustrating things about this game for me is you come to a lot of doors that you can interact with, but I don't think I actually opened one door. Like they were all closed and locked.
Yeah, it must have something to do with the power or something because I haven't been able to get into any of those doors either. Although I did get the power on and still wasn't able to. But I don't know if when you went down to that power thing, you can see it shows you where power's to where it's gone to once you or it's kind of like a map kind of, I guess. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, definitely looking forward to getting back into it. Probably would still be in there if I didn't have to record the Monday show. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe after the Monday show airs this evening, maybe I'll get back in there and give it some more of my precious time.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to bring us to our game of the month discussion for April. And, March, everything was just kind of cut and dry. We knew walking in what the game of the month was going to be, even though, we had to have a bit of a discussion about it. We knew the whole time that Half-Life was going to take it. A different story for April Roots, and I feel like we've got a real discussion, a real debate ahead of us this time.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, when I say that there is a debate coming, I'm referring specifically to PCVR, because when we look at PSVR in the month of April, there really is no debate. In fact, there is no list here. I have one game listed that's notable from PlayStation VR in April, and the complete opposite, again, of March, where they had a few bangers come out in March, and I feel like May's going to be the same way, but April, not so much. I mean, we had games. I mean, there were games that came out. There was Sharknado. There was Disaster Report 4. There was Spuds Unearthed, but none of those I really felt were worth featuring. The only game that I felt like really deserved to be considered for any kind of a Game of the Month award was the one you're looking at here, Form. And we recently covered Form on this channel. It was a game I recently played through, and I really enjoyed. It was a high quality, albeit easy puzzle game, and really my only complaint with it was the length. This game's only about an hour long, but high quality.
Yeah, it's funny because you just on the last show you said you know, the PlayStation VR slump or whatever, we were finally getting out of it, and this is exactly what you were talking about, because there was just not too many. I mean, I don't think you give Sharknado enough of a, no, just kidding. Yeah, this is pretty much it, dude. All those other games are they're okay, but they're not going to be Game of the Month for sure. And it's just another testament that May is going to be better and more to look forward to for PlayStation VR, and it needs to happen, Wes, because they didn't really get much. So
yeah, not in April. You know, they were scheduled to get some stuff that kind of got pushed back, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. But yeah, when it came down to what they actually got in April, it wasn't anything to write home about.
yeah.
But Form's good. This game is from Charm Games. It was released on the 7th of April for $15. $15 a bit questionable. I would like it better if it were 10. But if you like this type of game, if you like light puzzlers with a science fiction story behind it, you might want to consider putting down the $15, because I can say this definitively about it. It's a high quality game. Like the production values are top notch in this thing, and it really is a good experience when you get in there.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. You know, even for, I guess an hour, $15 is a little bit steep, but for what you get quality wise, it's definitely worth it. But I would feel better about getting it on a sale. But you know, if you really like these type of games, and if you're like me that doesn't like a super hard puzzler, it's right up your alley.
Yep, for sure. Great demo title. Like if you want to impress somebody and put them in VR, something that they can do that isn't completely nerfed, this is definitely something that would impress a newbie.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so Form, by default, the Game of the Month for PSVR. All right, and that's going to bring us to Oculus Quest, and this first title here is definitely, it's been around a while on PC and on PlayStation as well. A game that I haven't played, but a game a lot of people love, Guns and Stories bulletproof. And I feel kind of bad, Roots, because we talked about this game recently, and we said we were going to go into it, but I haven't had a chance to get into it yet. Have you?
No, and that's the funny thing is just how many times do we say we want to get into something and then just don't because we have to cover other stuff or we're playing Abduction or just pretty much everything. And I know even myself, I've got more time than you do because your free time, we were just talking about one day of your 2 days off is literally the Monday show. So it's hard to get into some of these games, even though we want to get into them. And that's one of the reasons why we created the backlog report. And that's the other reason why we did the Because I Said So, because it forces us to go into games that we would never really get into, but we want to. So
Yeah, this is definitely a cool looking title. It comes to us from Mirrorwind, the same developer that's behind the Boiling Steel game that just released late last year. This is a wave shooter, and it's a Western themed wave shooter, but it's kind of science fiction as well. It's kind of a arcade style comedy game. Loads of guns, loads of humor, and a solid looking title. Just came to Oculus Quest on the 2nd of April, and another thing I really like about this game, Roots, $10.
yeah, it's a really good deal. I like the fact that you can watch people fly all over the place after you blow them up. That just to me is good. And wave shooters can be good if there's a good story or there's humor to it or something more than just shooting things. And this seems to have it. I mean, you got a fat guy on a bicycle. Who doesn't want that, especially in a Western shooter? So
Yeah, I definitely think this looks like a lot of fun. When I was writing the show and I was putting together these lists, and I saw this and I was like, man, we didn't get into it and play it. I said, you know what? I'm going to play Abduction for a little while, and then after that, I'm going to get in and play Guns and Stories Bulletproof for a little while, so that I can talk about it with a little more experience. But Abduction sucked me in so hard that I didn't have time to do it. So I assure you, the next time that we talk about this game, it's going to be from the position of having played it, because I just think it looks super cool.
absolutely. And how true is that to you? Like you even said that you thought you'd been in Abduction for 30 minutes and it turned out it was 90. And that's how I felt. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know I was in here that long. Just because you're focused on going around and doing the stuff. But I agree. It's one of the ones that I'm going to make myself go into because I think the devs are really good at what they do. And I want to see what this game has to offer. And, why not? So.
Well, there you have it. Guns and Stories Bulletproof coming to a backlog report near you.
Yep.
So this is an interesting one. This is Iron Lights, coming to us from a developer, one guy, E. McNeil. It released on Oculus Quest on April 9th for $20. Now, we've covered this game a few times. This is a different concept for a game. It's kind of a melee game versus melee game that you can play against the bot or you can play against your friends. But it's turn-based. It's not just a straight-up fight. It's more of a strategy game. And I get a feeling with this game, Roots, that it's one of these deals that's just going to be kind of hard to describe. You have to play it to understand, because, you know, as simplistic as the game looks from the footage, pretty much everyone that has played this game has raved about it and said how great it is.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Because I've told you before, I'm not a big turn-based person, or melee, but I haven't heard anybody say, "Man, this game sucks," or "I don't like it." I've tried it. Everybody that I've seen is like, "Man, this is really cool." Even a lot of people that I actually respect their opinion on games have said they like it. So maybe I should try it. Maybe I shouldn't just write it off. But $20 for something that I'm not sure if I'm gonna like or not. Maybe if the dev sent me a key, well, actually, if the dev does send me a key, I'll definitely go into it. But it's intriguing enough, and I've heard enough good things about it. Maybe I should give it a try.
Yeah, well, I mean, it always could come to Viveport. But what's even a more likely scenario is that we might actually get a key one day, because this developer, E. McNeil, just so happens to be a member of our Discord.
Oh.
So if you'd like to give feedback, or even ask the developer any questions that you might have about this game, it's easy to do. There, you just have to scroll down to the description. You'll see an invitation to our Discord down there, and we're in there day after day, talking VR, sometimes talking some other stuff, but it's a great place to go if you want to stay abreast of the day-to-day goings on of in VR. So definitely check out our Discord, and definitely check out Iron Lights, because all indications say that this game is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
In 1995, Pixel Ripped is back. Face the mighty power of 16-bit enemies. The struggles of a 9-year-old boy.
Dave. Oh, right. David.
And the ruthless battle of console fanboys.
Turbo Drive is better. That's it. Real gamers need power. Power system is for squares. Cool kids go turbo. Power system. Turbo Drive. Power system. Turbo Drive. Power system. Turbo Drive.
Hey, Dot! Join Dot and help her save the multiverse from the evil Cyberling Lord. Pixel Ripped 1995.
That's it. I'm sorry, but I need to protect you from your bad choices.
Get ready.
Don't worry, baby. Mommy's coming for you.
And so that brings us to our third and final entry for Oculus Quest in the month of April. And Roots, I feel like this one doesn't need much introduction. The sequel to one of the most beloved titles from Gen 1 VR, the sequel to Pixel Ripped 1989. This is Pixel Ripped 1995. And if you played 1989, you know what a retro-fueled nostalgia trip that it actually was. And I feel like everything that the first game did, this game did even better. What did you think about Pixel Ripped 1995?
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I played through it in like a day and a half at the most. And it was super cool, super nostalgic. The gameplay, as far as the different types of games, brought back a lot of memories. So I really enjoyed it. And I question anybody if they don't want to play it. But I mean, I don't know, if you're not a retro player, you probably might not like the gameplay, but everything else about it and how cool it is to watch the worlds come into your virtual world, that you're in a world playing a game, and then that spills into it. It's just super cool. And I thought I chuckled at something somebody said in the Discord. They said Like, man, I was flipping over all these cards and I was looking for like the virtual strangers in the game or whatever. And I was like, dude, we're not in Nathy, man. I would be so shocked if I saw us in there. That would be like the icing on the cake. But yeah, I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's how we're going to know that we made it, Roots. When we end up in one of the Pixel Rip games, because they did the same thing in the first one. There were Easter eggs to a few different content creators. Not many, but Nathy was in the first one. I know Frank was in the first one. I think PD's in this one, isn't he?
If he isn't, I'd be surprised, because he should be, because he's that big in the industry. And, you know, like you said, we know we make it when we get into Pixel Ripped 2002 or whatever the next one's going to be. But no, that's such a good game, and definitely was at $20, right? Yeah, it's definitely worth $20, man. That all day long. They easily could have charged $30 for this, but they didn't get greedy. And I would recommend this to anybody, you know, and even if you don't like retro games, just everything else about it is super cool. And, you know, the story was cool as well. You know, it made you feel for the characters. You know, you kind of got inside the mom's head and you understood a little bit more. And she comes around, and I won't go into too much detail because I know you're still playing through, but it's one of the favorite games I've had played in a while.
Yeah, I agree. Just a load of fun here. It stayed true to the progression from that period. You know, when we moved from the 8-bit games into the 16 and then the 32-bit, the games just got so much better. And I feel like that held very much true here, that the games that they put together in 1995 were just better than the Game Boy games of the original.
Yeah, I agree.
And when it comes down to the game of the month for Oculus Quest in April, I kind of feel like it's a no contest here, Roots. I feel like Pixel Rip 1995 takes it running away, in my opinion.
Yeah, mine too. It's definitely the only game of the three that I would say, man, you have to play this game. The other two are games that I'd say, yeah, you should try it, you know, but this one you have to. You have to buy it, and if you don't, Roots questions your soul, and that's pretty much it.
Well, you don't want Roots questioning your soul, right? So if you've got an Oculus Quest out there and you haven't got this yet, you know what to do. $20, put it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if your kids have played through this, right? You said your son played through it, or was it? You say your son, right? He told you that you had to punch that kid or something, right?
Yeah, Brody, my 11-year-old. He hasn't played all the way through it, but he's a couple of levels into it now, and just loving it. Thinks it's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. I wish I had VR
even though
when I was a kid.
Even though he is of our generation, so he doesn't fully get the nostalgia of it. Retro stuff is what he's into. Actually, he's got an original Nintendo. That's what he wanted for Christmas. It was his main present that he asked for this past Christmas was a Nintendo Entertainment System. So that's what he got. He collects albums. He collects vinyl. He's very much into. He's got a Game Boy Advance. You know, I've had him on emulators since he could walk, playing these games. So he's kind of in a unique position when it comes to playing this game. He doesn't get the nostalgia on the level that we get it. But he does get some of that same feeling from it that we do, just because he's been playing this stuff his whole life.
Yeah, that's cool. He's going to have his own talk show podcast at some point, you know?
He'd do it tomorrow if I'd let him.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Anyway, game of the month, Oculus Quest, April, Pixel Rip 1995. Definitely one that's going to be talked about again at the end of the year when we're talking about the game of the year.
Cool.
Peggy 7.
All right, Roots. So here we are. Finally, we have come to PCVR, and where these other two categories were pretty cut and dry, I feel like we've got a bit more of a debate on our hands here. What about you?
Oh yeah, man. And I still debate the guy puking in this video. I got to mention that every time I see him puking, it's just I question why they did it, but I get it because you know, it's telling you could puke in this, but man, what an amazing game. Just watching this trailer just reminds me how good this game is and how much I enjoy playing it with everybody in the community. I've even played it.
Yeah,
and this is a dirty secret to let in on Cyan and everybody else. I've even played once or twice with you guys flat while you guys were playing VR, just to see if I could get an edge up on you. And I still enjoyed it flat as well. I mean, it's just such a good game to play. But in VR, it's next level.
Yeah, man, this game is just a perfect example of what I love about being a VR gamer. Because every month when we do these Game of the Month episodes, we always end off by looking ahead at the confirmed releases for the next month, and there never is much there. There never is a whole lot that we know is coming in the next month, but there's always games because they just drop out of nowhere. And this is a game that's been around a long time on flat. Came out a few years ago on flat, but released on April 1st from Cage Element into VR. $30, and I know many of us didn't pay that $30 for it, but having played it, I gotta say that it's probably worth the full price.
Absolutely. $30 for this game is hands down worth it because there's so much to it. Even just myself, I'm still way behind everybody else leveling wise, and it makes a difference. All the different cars you can unlock and change, and each course is different, and I'm learning stuff every time. Like you can, in the air, you're still able to control your, speed up and use your boosts as a rocket type of thing, or it's just so much to it that I just don't see how anybody except for Wubby would get bored with it. And apparently she's not too hyped on it anymore, but she's not much of a racer. So Wubby, you need to get back in there with us because you're missed for sure.
Yeah, I gotta say, Roots, even though we have a debate on our hands here of what's going to be the game of the month, if we were judging it based on playtime in our community, what game has the most hours of playtime through everyone on our Discord, I mean, this game would take it hands down, and it probably would double up on whichever one of these came in second place. Everybody's taken to this game. I've talked flat gamers into buying this game this month. So, I mean, it's really a great game, and it's going to be hard to beat when we finally come down to having to make a choice here.
Yeah, the developers of Wreckfest need to learn from these developers, and they need to bring that game into VR because there's such a demand for it. Because I've been playing that with Radio Run as well lately, flat. But a good racer in VR is kind of hard to find. Before this game came out, I would have said Wipeout was just about the only one that was hands down amazing. I think it's an eye opener to a lot of these devs, or should be, that you can get a completely different audience of people into your game in virtual reality and double dip, and I don't know how hard it was to bring this game into VR, but it definitely should show all of them that, if you can get this game into it where you're flipping around and you're upside down and people play it and most people don't get sick. I guess somebody said that, I think it was, I don't know who it was. Somebody put their wife into it. And don't have their VR legs, and it was not good. They had to get out and lay down for like a couple hours. So that is real for somebody. If you do have, get VR sick, you might want to take this one easy to begin with and see, maybe even third person. But it's just so amazing that, it's going to be hard to beat in my mind for the game of the month, but there's so many aspects of it. Like you said, it's not only about the enjoyment of the game, it's the artistic, it's a lot of things. So
yeah, we have to take into account what our personal favorites are, and then we also have to take into account what our community thinks as well, because oftentimes our favorites don't win. We actually pick the one that everybody else likes the most. So we'll have to see, but this one again definitely going to be hard to beat. When it comes to the second game on our list here, it's another game that we've already talked about for Oculus Quest. But I felt like it, like I said before, it's gotten so much praise since release that it deserved to be on this list. And I'm talking about Iron Lights, again from E. McNeil. Again, came out on April 9th, $20, a solid title by all indications. Probably one that deserves to be checked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Roots, if I have to pick my favorite game off of this list of games, I'm probably going to have to give it to Lies Beneath, because you know my taste, you know what I love. I love a good horror game, and that's exactly what this is. You say, and it's very true about racing games. There's a lot of good racing games in VR, but there's not many great ones. I kind of feel like the same thing could be said about horror games. There's a lot of good horror games in VR. There's not very many great ones. And so far, my time in this game, I've enjoyed every second of it. Challenging, sure, but for the points you take away for challenge, I feel like they get it back and then some when it comes to style. A lot of style points awarded here for being the best example I've ever seen of a comic book adaptation into VR.
Yeah, in this game, there's a reason why there's different difficulty levels. Because if it's too difficult, you just put it on the easiest level, and you can get. Well, I haven't tried that. I need to try that, Wes, because I want to see the whole game, and there is no way in hell I am getting through this game on the level I'm on, and I'm not even on the hard level. It is very difficult. But I would have to say everything you just said, the style, a lot of horror games are good, but most of them don't think outside the box. This one is so far outside the box and so unique and so different, and it doesn't skimp on anything. You're still interacting with stuff. You still have the physics where you can't put your hands through everything. You have the reload of weapons. You've got throwing. You've got everything, dude. And then you add this lighter that not only lights up stuff, but it tells you which direction you go. It gives you a reticle on your gun. The developers really, really thought out this game, and it's just amazing. And for it to get as much crap as it's got, or at least in our Discord in the beginning about how difficult it is. like to the point where Alex was ready to he said love-hate relationship. It's just amazing.
Yeah, well, apparently they've balanced it out a little bit since then, and come to find out, he was making it a little more difficult than it needed to be because he wasn't reloading properly during that scene he got stuck on. So he thought that he had to manually put every shell into the shotgun instead of just grabbing them the way that you do.
Okay.
But everything you just said about this game, absolutely true. And I feel like the game's biggest strength you didn't even mention there, and that's the audio design in this game. This game is one of the best games I've ever heard in terms of audio design. And you could go into this thing with your eyes shut, and if you're in the right scene, it's still going to scare the crap out of you because these big bad monsters in this thing sound scary as hell,
and they come at you fast. Yeah, you're right, dude. And this is probably one of the games on your list for checking out with your ears when they come in, just because everything that's audio, amazing in audio is something you're going to want to try again. And this one definitely, I would say this game does everything right. And it's the biggest thing that's so cool is just the comic book feel, like you really are in this comic book setting. And that's not easy to do. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is the game of the month for PC, but again, I just want to comment how beautiful this game looks in the Oculus Quest. As good as it looked on PC, it pretty much looked that good in the Quest as well. And I think that's a credit to the developers and just goes to show what a talented group they have at Drifter.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is you just you just gave me your decision. You just said that it's game of the month for PC. So I might as well, even before, I would have to pick this one as well, even without going into the last game. And then we'll go into it with the intention of what's going to be the runner-up, because this just did so many things right. Even as much as I love Grip, even as much as I love the next game, I would have to say, hands down, this one is my game of the month.
Well, that wasn't exactly what I was trying to say there. What I was trying to say was, even though we're talking about the game of the month for PC,
I got you.
This game was awesome on Quest. But now that you mention it, the next game is a very worthy contender as well, and we just talked about it. Pixel Ripped 1995. We just said it all for Oculus Quest. It all applies here as well. And what I just said about Lies Beneath goes the same here. It looks pretty much identical on both systems, and you saw how good it looked on PC. I mean, that's what it looks like on that mobile device. How amazing is that?
Wow. Oh, that's good. And that's one of the reasons why I would love to have a Quest, is to play something like this or Lies Beneath. Check it out on the Quest as well. So, but I guess as I thought you gave out what it was, I did give up my choice, which I do believe for everything I just said as far as game of the month for PC. Just Lies Beneath did every single thing so well, in my opinion, and so unique and different that it's hard for me not to say that's the game of the month for me anyway. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with you there, but I'm going to go right on ahead here and give out the award for honorable mention, because I feel like if I don't, that our Discord is going to string us up, because everything that we just said about Lies Beneath is true. In my opinion, it was my favorite game that I played this last month, and probably one of the most unique VR games I've ever played. But at the same time, again, if we had to give the award to the one that had the most hours played, it's got to go to Grip, right? Because again, an amazing game. How amazing was this month that we have Lies Beneath as the winner, we have Grip as the runner-up, and we have Pixel Ripped over here just kind of floating in the wind. Another solid title. We could easily pick 3 this month, right?
Yeah, it's funny when Pixel Rip 1995 becomes floating in the wind. When as amazing as it is, that tells you how good the games were this month for PCVR. And I'd have to agree with the runner-up Grip, because it was a flat game. That if you didn't tell me it was a flat game before, I could easily believe it was a VR game. Now, granted that the speed doesn't feel like you said, like with other games in VR where you just feel it as a little bit more. Even that one we talked about after, I can't remember what the name of it is. I should remember. What was that one with the wheel? The one we went into
Hyperwheel Overdrive.
Hyperwheel Overdrive. Yeah, you could feel it more in that one as far as flipping around. But Grip did such a good job of porting over, and it's so fun. And I can't imagine anybody that likes racing games wouldn't enjoy it. Like, I'm not even a racing person as far as gaming, and I love the hell out of that game. So yeah, it's definitely like right up there with Lies Beneath, and just because Lies Beneath was so unique and different and hit all of the categories, it was just hands down the winner for me, and a good runner up with Grip.
Yep, agreed. On a side note, Hyperwheel just got an update, and I'm kind of curious to get back in that and see. You know, he's talking about adding in that third person mode. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, we need to get in there. And there was somebody that bought it in the Discord. We need to get in there with them as well.
Maybe Spry Guy or Radio Grunt. One of those two, I think, maybe got it.
Yeah, it wasn't Radio Run. I can't remember. Maybe, I don't even know, dude. I was going to say Driven By, but I don't think it was him either. But yeah, somebody in the Discord owns it. And so we need to play with you.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anyway, what a month, Roots. And how could we have possibly seen it coming? We knew that we were going to get Lies Beneath, but Grip fell from out of nowhere. Pixel Rip came from out of nowhere. This is how it goes in the world of VR. And I feel like next month is going to be much more of the same. And even though we've only got a few titles here listed as confirmed releases for the month of May, you know it and I know it. There's going to be stuff that just drops, right? And in a month's time, when we're sitting here looking back at May, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised that as good as April was, that May could even turn out to be even better.
Yeah, who knows? It'll drop out of nowhere, man. Maybe Wreckfest in VR. Let's cross some fingers.
Well, while we don't know the full extent of what's going to come in May, and we don't know how many great games that we're going to get, we do, in fact, know at least of one really awesome game that's coming this month.
Yeah, I can't wait to.
All right, Roots. I got to admit it. I'm psyched, and it doesn't happen very often that I'm psyched for the release of a game that I already own and have had for quite some time. But the persistence for a long time has been one of the best games on PlayStation VR. Not a whole lot to criticize here. One of the only criticisms I've ever had of it is sometimes there are some graphical artifacts. There's some aliasing when running this game on the console. So now that I have the chance to check this game out on some real, true, powerful hardware. Dude, I cannot wait until the 22nd of May when this game drops.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And like I was just telling you, I I only played a small smidge of this game to talk about it on the PlayStation VR. But I want to take somebody's stem cells, man. I want to upgrade myself. I really do. The way that this game looked in PlayStation VR, even on the Pro, I think it's going to look amazing on the with a super sample of 2080. And I'm super psyched to play through this and beat it. I'm going to beat it in about a day. And well, maybe not, but I am going to play it day one, and I'm really going to enjoy it. So.
Yeah, same here. Whatever else may come from May, and we don't know what's going to be coming out in May. I gotta feel like this is the hands down favorite for Game of the Month, and is going to be one of the contenders for Game of the Year.
I don't think the PC VR players understand how good this is. How many games do you know that are built from the ground up in VR that have came to flat gaming? I mean,
right, exactly.
That should be a testament. It's going on the Switch, dude. This game is really good, and I think that PC VR people are going to be blown away by it. And if you're not, I wonder where are you at in VR? Something's wrong with you.
Yeah, and I question your soul.
Yeah, and you're making Wes question your soul, so that's really.
Anyway, we've drooled all over this game for weeks on end now. I can't wait. Persistence coming out in just a couple weeks' time. Stay tuned for more coverage.
Yep.
And besides the Persistence, there's not a whole lot that we have confirmed. Let me rephrase that. There's not a whole lot of great experiences that we have confirmed. There was tons of indie stuff, as there always is, that I didn't list on here. But one of the things we do know is coming was something we just talked about yesterday, and that's House of Fear, which is a horror-themed escape room coming to us from RV VR on May the 7th. So what is that? Like 3 more days?
Yeah.
We're going to have this game. Obviously indie, but again, this just looks like the type of experience that I can get into. I hope they haven't given their whole game away here in the trailer.
Yeah, I hope it runs well on PC as well. I mean, I'm sure it will, because it's not like that other game, the ones made for flat, your old baby that you threw out with the bathwater. I'm kind of hoping there's some creepy stuff in here, that there's some stuff that you just don't know, and it looks pretty intriguing as well.
Yeah, something else I'm curious about is how much this thing's going to cost. Being an indie game, being in an escape room, I wouldn't expect it to, $20 is really the roof, or it should be for a game like this.
Yeah, maybe even 10, depending on how good it is. If it's really good, then $20. Yeah, but we won't know for sure until we try it.
Yeah, I would expect 10 or 15, but we'll see. Well, we don't have to wait very long.
Yeah.
Not only listed one more game here for PC VR, and that actually is one that we were supposed to get in April, but Panther VR did not make it to market as it was supposed to. And it's almost like we could have told you that it wasn't going to come, because Wolfdog Interactive took this game to Kickstarter, and it had a very successful Kickstarter. But Roots, doesn't it seem like everything that goes to Kickstarter ends up getting delayed at least a little bit?
Yeah, it's weird, right? You'd think it'd get sped up. You got the money, maybe. Well, I guess no, it makes sense. It's like, I mean, if you have a vision for a game and you only have a limited fund, and then all of a sudden you get this influx of money, it's like, okay, now we can do all this extra stuff, and so it's going to take a little bit more time to implement that. So I'd almost rather it does get delayed, because if it doesn't get delayed, then that tells you they didn't really do much with that money. Or at least that would be my guess, right?
Right. And, we've said it 100 times on the show here. We'd rather wait for a game than wait for a patch, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But Panther VR is a stealth action game from Wolfdog Interactive. It looks really cool in my opinion. It looks fairly polished to be coming from an indie team for a Kickstarter game. And this was a fairly recent Kickstarter too. It wasn't that long ago. So I feel like this game has a lot of potential, and we're not just assuming that the game's coming in May. I mean, they changed the Steam page to say May. So we're not just assuming it because it didn't come in April that it was going to come in May. They're saying May. So I would fully expect that we're going to get this any day now.
Yeah, and like all the gadgets and toys they got, the grappling hook, the remote controlled car, the flying drone, it looks like there's a lot of cool things to do, and it looks like if they do it well, this is going to be a really amazing game.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to some of the people that have been playing it, some of the backers of the Kickstarter. If you back this game and you've been playing it in early access, let us know in the comments down below, or again, you can join our Discord and come and have a conversation with us on there about it, because I'm really curious as to how this game's turning out.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Roots, that's going to bring us to Oculus Quest, and again, I didn't put a whole lot down for any specific category this month, but that goes doubly for Quest. I've got a couple of titles listed here. First of all, on the 5th of May, the early access for Echo VR is going down, and this is free for all. Anybody that wants to get in on it can, and it's going to remain open until the game launches, whenever that may be. But, I mean, as far as free stuff goes here, pretty high quality deal, right?
Yeah, plus it's, there's not too many experiences or not enough experiences of multiplayer that you can play PC to Quest. So I guarantee Cyan is going to convince Gaming Science Teacher to get in this and check it out, at least since it's free. And maybe she'll love it, I know I haven't given it enough a love, especially on the last episode, but I mean, looking at it, it looks amazing. I mean, it's definitely not a graphically challenged game. It looks really good. And if you like floating around, the thing is, Wes, is I just never got good at it. So I convinced myself it sucked because I suck. That's a very good possibility. And it, Oculus Studios, I was just saying that there's not a good or a bad game that they put out. It may not be your cup of tea, but they really do only back the good ones. So
yeah, I'm interested to see what this looks like in Oculus Quest. To be honest, I might go into it just for that. But on top of that, Cyan says that you can do private matches in it now too. So that's a big plus for me, because the main thing I didn't like about playing the game was the community. So
yeah, those bastards.
If I can do it with my community, it may be a totally different experience.
Yeah, and if you could be on Cyan's team, because he said he's like the best player. Well, he never said that, but he's probably pretty good at it. So
yeah, Mamefan said he was. I guess he showed Mamefan how to play Echo VR way back when, and schooled him.
Oh wow. Maybe I'm afraid to go. Oh, I got to be on your team, Cyan. Or it's like when I was a kid. We'd play football in the neighborhood, and when I was little, I'd always my dad would play with us, and I would have to be on his team because you got an adult on your team, you're gonna win. So, yeah. So I want Cyan. I want you to be my dad and join me in the game. And that sounds weird saying that. I don't want you to be my dad.
Yeah, if Cyan were your dad, you'd legally be a Canadian, Roots.
Oh God, I can't do that. Then never mind.
Anyway, I got another one listed here for Oculus Quest. May the 7th, 2020 is going to bring Audio Trip to the Oculus Quest. This is a rhythm game, Roots, and unlike most rhythm games that we've talked about on this channel, this is a really popular one. People like this one. It's got some different nuances to it, even though it has a lot of the same stuff as well. I think the main thing here with Audio Trip is the soundtrack. A lot of platinum recording artists have given their songs to Audio Trip, and I think that it's reflected in the user reviews.
And it's trippy, dude. I mean, we like trippy stuff that looks weird. Now, one of the things is I was watching this trailer that tripped me out the most, and I feel like it's fake news. Ain't no that many people using the Cosmos, dude. There is no way, man. Let's put an index in this commercial. Let's put a Oculus Rift S in it, and let's not lie to the world and say, "Hey, look at everybody's using the Cosmos." They're out there.
I actually think, is that a Cosmos or a Vive Pro?
Oh, maybe it's a Vive Pro. Yeah, that I buy. That I will buy because the Vive Pro is a really good product, but expensive.
I was about to say, if you're going to buy a Vive Pro, then you're going to be out some money, bro.
Yeah, but at least you can go wireless. That's the thing.
Even though they have cut the prices quite a bit since people quit buying the products.
I feel like maybe I'm missing out on this game because we initially just totally blew it off, just to said, this is nothing, because it was during our segment of all the different Beat Saber clones or whatever. But this one looks different in its own right, so I do need to get in and check this out because enough people have said it's really good that it probably is really good.
Yeah, and I think it may even be on Viveport, so we might not even have to throw down the cash if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, this is from Kinematic Studios, May 7th, coming to Oculus Quest, so just a few more days, and Quest players are going to be... and again, how well-suited is that mobile unit for this type of game? I mean, it really just... it's a perfect match.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good price too, right? Well, I guess it doesn't have I don't have the price on there. But how much was it? Do you know on the PC? Can't be more than $20, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I didn't put it down on here, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking $20 is probably right around where it's at.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, that's going to bring us to PSVR, and like Quest, I just wrote a couple of them down here. The first one is actually already out. It came out on May 1st. Down the Rabbit Hole was one of the very best games that released in March. We were expecting it to come to PSVR in April, but it slid all the way to May 1st. And, if you're on PlayStation VR and you're having difficulty finding some new solid games to play, this is one of the best releases this year.
Yeah, it's really good, and especially since there's not been much coming out. Like, you have to have owned this one. I'd be surprised if any PlayStation VR person didn't pick this up because it's so good, and it's one of the only ones that has came out in the last month or so that's worth it. So, besides the next one that we're going to be talking about, but I really enjoyed this game for so many different reasons, story especially, but the scale, everything. So.
Yeah, again, just a awesome world to visit. Being immersed in this world and the way that they put the levels as you descend down through them and the way they kind of loop back into one another, I thought was really cool. And that was probably my favorite part, was just being in this one. Like, I feel like on flat, it wouldn't work half as well as it does in VR.
Yeah, and what's funny is I keep watching this trailer, Wes, and I'm gonna go back in and play it again, maybe just to get all the cards or whatever
Right.
it was. Yeah, just because I blew through it, I really enjoyed it, but I really did enjoy it, and it makes me want to go back in, and I can't say that for a lot of games. So.
Yeah, for Roots to beat a game and then go back, I mean, that says something. That should tell you PSVR owners out there all you need to know. Go get it.
Yeah, because I blew a lot of people away when I said that I beat Half-Life Alyx and I was done with it. Although I am starting to get a little bit of an itch for that, and I was thinking a good Monday show topic at some point would be once they've came out with a few more mods, the best 5 Half-Life Alyx mods or something of that nature. That will get me back into it, but I agree.
Well, for sure, that would be a good topic, but we've already discussed on a Monday show, I don't know, I want to say maybe 3 weeks from now, that we were going to do a Monday show just about mods in general.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could definitely be one of the mods that we visit, or maybe even 2 of them. There's so many of them already, and they haven't even released the tools for it yet.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But the other title for PSVR, another one that we keep coming back to during this episode, Pixel Rip 1995, released on all major VR platforms in the month of April, save one, PSVR. And they said it would be coming to PSVR in May. And I got to feel like, there were times when I was playing this game that I kind of wish that I was playing it on PSVR because the tracked gamepad works so well in this kind of game.
Yeah. Did you use a gamepad for this when you played it on PC?
No,
Okay.
I just use my touch controller.
Yeah, so it's still tracked, but it's not as tracked. You're right. And one of the things, it's $20, I'm assuming, on the same on PlayStation VR. And this is my prediction. I'd be surprised if anything better than this comes out in this month, for just because it's so good. And my prediction is it's going to be the game of the month for May. But who knows? Who knows what the hell will drop out of nowhere?
Well, that's the thing, right? Nobody knows. As is always the case, games are going to drop without much warning. And specifically on PSVR, they are expecting Gorn to drop any day. The Gorn developers came out last week and said that by this past Monday, not today, but last Monday, that they would have the game release date announced, and that within like a week or two of that, the game would launch. They came back out later that week, and their publisher said not so fast. There's some kind of deal going on getting it published, but the game's complete. It's ready to release, and I got to feel like we could have Gorn on PSVR any day.
How exciting is that, man? So the PlayStation VR people get to break their TVs too, man. I'll tell you, I warn you all, don't think that's a joke, man. You need to stay back from your TV because so many people have broken their TVs. I mean, granted, it's not Vacation Simulator and you're like Wes when he broke his TV, but Gorn is just, you get so wrapped up and the presence in that game is so good. You do forget that you're in a game and you're just wildly punching and doing all sorts of stuff and or whatever, swinging the weapons, and next thing you know, you're buying a new TV.
Yeah, the really crazy thing about Gorn on PSVR, one of the most hyped releases I've ever seen on PSVR. It's nuts how highly anticipated Gorn is on PSVR, and I don't know why. I mean, it's not like Gorn was the game of the year or anything. Like, Gorn's a solid title, but PSVR's got stuff coming that's way better than Gorn.
Yeah, but what's funny is it's because it's like having that, your neighbor that's got something that you don't have. PlayStation VR has watched PC VR have it, and they've wanted it for so long that it's kind of like they're salivating for it. So that's kind of, at least what I believe, it's like when you get something you couldn't have before for so long, you're just really, really psyched for it.
Yeah. So yeah, Gorn could definitely come this month. If I had to bet on it, I'd say that it probably does drop in the month of May. Only time will tell. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners for PSVR Roots, it's pretty much done. The developer came out this past week. They said that it turned out awesome for PSVR, and they are moving on to Oculus Quest now. So Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is in full development for Oculus Quest, and it could drop on PSVR anytime. Certainly a possibility that PSVR players could be getting that game this month. And if that happens, good luck to Gorn, good luck to Pixel Rip 1995, because The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is one of the very best games I've ever played.
Yeah, it's going to be the best for both of those platforms, probably. Definitely the Quest for sure, because they're limited in games compared to PlayStation VR that's been out for so long. But it will be the best Oculus Quest game out there when it drops, and probably will be for the PlayStation VR as well.
Yeah, well, definitely one of the best this year.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start talking about PSVR all time,
Not all time. Yeah.
There's some really good ones on there, but I mean, it's right up there with it. It's that good, right?
I just offended Wes. He's thinking of RE7, and he's like, "Don't you even dare put it." And I would have to agree, man.
Well, listen, man. When that game came out and I started playing it, I mean, there was a good solid month there where I was saying that I liked it better than RE7. You know, I've just kind of came back over time and said, you know what, you know, RE7, I don't know if anything's ever going to take me the way that one did.
Jack, I've never felt fear like I have in a VR game. You know, and Mamefan, he says he wants more of me playing that game because I pulled all my gameplays off of that channel because I don't like myself cursing that much anymore, so it made me not like it. So I might have to do it again without all the profanity.
Well, there you go. If you don't know Resident Evil 7 and how good it is in VR, then clearly you don't know Jack.
Yeah, that's right. You don't know Jack for sure, man. And it was so good, dude. Even like I have said in the past, the video, when I put the video in the video VHS player and the whole thing that went down, and I was like, it was just so next level. The shock of what happened, and I was like, oh my God, like it got my heart pumping like no other game has. So
yeah. So yeah, Gorn could come any day. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners could come any day. Dreams could come any day, Roots. And you know, that's not to even mention Iron Man VR, which was supposed to be released in the month of May. So I mean, if the stars align correctly, this could be a banner month for PSVR.
Absolutely.
And then what about stuff like Undead Citadel and Vin VR Adventure? Both of those are Q2 games. And here we sit, you know, directly in the middle of Q2, staring down the back end. And where are those games, Roots? Well, I mean, they could come this month as well, right?
Yeah, it's so crazy, man. That's what's so exciting about VR. And it's kind of one of those things that I don't look forward to virtual reality becoming as mainstream. Only the few things, because you know that once it truly becomes mainstream, you won't see releases like that as often. It's just very rare in the gaming world to just have something drop out of nowhere. They like to hype it up and at least give you some knowledge. So
yeah, so we could get either of those. Which I got to say, Vin. They're hyping their game on a daily basis. If you follow them on Twitter or if you're a member of their Discord, they're putting out concept art pretty much every day and dropping little tidbits about their game. So I'm not sure when that game's coming, but I get the feeling that it's not going to be very long. And then, you know, anything could come. Sniper Elite, that game should be pretty close to being done. It's been in development forever. Anything. A ton of great games coming to VR this year. Any of them could drop at any time. We've seen it time and again.
what do you think about Population 1? I just somebody was telling me, I was Derail in the Discord whispered me and said that they're now accepting people in for the beta again, for a new beta. And like they've done some work and stuff, and so I told him, yeah, hell yeah, I want to get into it. And then I forgot about it, and I didn't do it. So I need to do it, but that's on the horizon as well.
I don't know. Population 1 with me is borderline Golem status at this point. You know, eventually I just quit talking about Golem because so many times it was supposed to come and it didn't. I kind of feel like Population 1's getting to be in that territory now.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. If Golem came out for the Epic Game Store, would you pick it up?
Yeah, dude, that's one of the best games on PSVR. And it's beautiful, too, on PSVR.
Yeah, that would be so awesome. So, yeah, Golem, go to Epic Game Store and we'll get it for you for PC.
Hey, that's very possible, you know. It was a Sony commissioned game, but it wasn't, you know, first party. That game came from... shoot. Now I'm having a brain fart and I can't remember what the developer's name is, but that wasn't a Sony owned studio. I'm fairly certain it came from a third party. So.
Cool. That would be nice.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Monday show. The Money Show. It's the Money Show, folks.
Oh, hell yeah.
Now, if you want to see the Money Show, there's one way you could do it, and that's by supporting our channel on Patreon. And we don't do it every week, but occasionally on Patreon we will drop bonus content, and maybe, who knows, Roots, maybe we should change the name of that to The Money Show.
Yeah, that sounds good. The Money Show. You spending some money, you get the free show behind the scenes.
Yeah, so definitely for those of you who'd like to support the channel, that's one way to do it. Another way would be to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to click the bell as well to keep up with all of our content here on the Virtual Strangers channel.
Absolutely.
With that said, friends, we would like to thank you once again for watching. And for Roots, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.